Hey everyone! So I've been wanting to read this one the most. Even with this character being announced, this is something I do want to definitely see. The reason being is because a lot of the characters that have been kind of like the more, I don't know if antagonistic, or the antag is the right word in a lot of cases, because Mika to a degree was in Eden Treaty, and now we have Rio. Mika's was pretty solid, whereas Rio's we're going to see today, but I really do like to see their sides of the story if they do provide it, or just kind of get a glimpse into their lives to understand more about how they're doing and what's going on with them. You know, I do very much vouch for both Mika and Rio getting a redemption arc of some sort. I do very much think that Mika is doing her best at the moment, and I hope that Rio is going to be in a similar boat. So, that said, I'm curious to see how this is going to go. So, grab yourself a drink, snack, whatever it is, and let's dive into this one and see how it goes. Sensei. Huh? Who's this? Ah. You wouldn't know. It's me, Sensei. Rio. Rio? Where are you right now? I'm using a burner phone. The number will change next time, so don't bother saving it. Okay. Are you okay? Is there a problem? Just being rational. I need to make sure I'm untraceable. The mobile carrier will know where you are, though. I hadn't thought of that. But still, I had no choice. Why are we technologically savvy on phones, yet for the life of us, we cannot put a good password that isn't going to cause Chihiro to get mad at us? What do you mean? Oh my goodness. Anyway, so what's going on? I went out to buy some discount dinner bento, but the store turned out to be closed today. Alright, this sounds like the start of a story rather than like a... I don't know, this feels weird to start with this. Logical life. I went where Rio asked me to go. The process of getting there, through all the security, was quite a hassle. Are you here, Sensei? Have you been waiting long? You just got here. I see. I'd mistakenly assumed you would follow the optional route. Let me ask you something. What do I usually eat? Well, of course. Discount dinner bento and frozen food. It's a very logical choice. For one thing, that bento can reach up to 50% off, and that taste is acceptable. Especially the katsu bento and the karage, I think is how you say that, rice bowls. In fact, they are amazing. I feel like... Now I'm actually slightly curious if Rabbit Squad and Rio are fighting over these. Unfortunately, the place I get it from took the day off. On a normal day, they have people fighting for their food. I didn't pre-read this, I swear. That's how good it is. With frozen food, it lasts a long time, and you can store it in bulk. Again, a logical choice. I wasn't ready for that. I don't think I've seen Rio like... I am not prepared for this, am I? Oh no. Oh no. Again, a logical choice. Yeah, I was gonna say, I mean, relying on it... I was gonna say, you're gonna ruin your health. I can't order delivery, it's irrational. Delivery orders can be tracked. If a delivery driver happens to remember my face, I'd be in a world of danger. Not only that, but they offer perks for leaving reviews, discounts and such. It'd be irrational of me not to take advantage of that. I will simply leave it at... I've used delivery services in the past, be it... Well, okay, let's also be fair, COVID was also a big thing, so delivery services like that probably were pretty big during like the first year or two that was around. From what I remember, when I used it from time to time, you had the option to have it left at the door, so you didn't have to worry about it. Though they would have the address still, but I don't think most of the drivers necessarily care about remembering where they get it from. Then again, I've never been a driver, so I don't know. On a side note, I don't think it's gonna be that bad. Plus, you can also make did it not cross her mind she could make like a burner account, much like she was talking about a burner phone? I don't know how many people have like burner emails. I have like 2 or 3. This is just so that way people, I can have ways to filter out things I don't want. You know, it's good to have burner emails, just in case you have to sign up for something to get past it and you just want to not be bothered with their stuff. Though having the extra account, the extra credentials, all that stuff's a pain in the butt to remember sometimes, but it is what it is. The advantages of a burner of email and all that stuff outweigh the negatives of it. So I don't think she's exactly thinking here. But again, any review could be traced back to me. In the vernacular, it is a dilemma. And I prefer to avoid any such dilemmas whenever possible. It is again logical. I was not prepared for this smile. It is making me feel funny because I'm just like, what am I? What? I wasn't ready. I'll just leave it at that. I'm just not ready. Food's cheap now, but the hospital's bills are expensive. Well, bento and frozen foods are often fried, which means they're too high in carbohydrates and fat, and they lack fiber and vitamins. That is indeed a factor, yes, but I can always take vitamin supplements. As for fiber, well, my body has been fine without fiber so far. That doesn't necessarily mean... I mean, you're young, it's okay. That isn't fine. How significant would plant fiber possibly be for anyone's body? Plus, there are all kinds of supplements. Fiber's not a bad thing to have. It helps your digestive tract, if I remember right. Besides, I can't cook. I'm gonna be real with you. A lot of people my age probably don't know how to cook either. Then again, it wasn't really something we were ever taught, and people probably had to really go out of their way to learn it to do so. I can cook, thankfully, thanks to my grandmother, and I appreciate all the pointers and stuff that she gave me. Of course, my mom also helps a little bit, but, you know, I definitely learned enough and the basic know-hows of all that stuff. I'm sure I could definitely figure more things out without having too much trouble. Would I make something that's like the avant-garde, but for cooking, as in with online recipe? I am more than certain you could try your hardest and still be better than Jury. And I'm not being mean to Jury. I just don't know how she does that. Well, I can't say I've ever tried that, but I'm scared. Fair. It could be... That's it! We're going to the supermarket! Oh, the prices are too high. It's a rational choice. I'm buying. Let's go. I was gonna say, yeah, we're gonna buy. Alright. I dragged Rio off to the supermarket. Like, if I understand, like, her lifestyle is kind of more of a recluse, kind of like surviving off in the, you know, often somewhere else that we have no idea where she's at, but she needs to have this food around all the time. I feel like canned goods would still be better. You can get a whole bunch of things that are canned goods. I mean, you buy a good small amount. Yeah, the prices probably aren't discounted, but they're still gonna last substantially longer than those other foods, I'd imagine. Plus, you can do a lot of things with those canned vegetables or whatever after some time. I get a good amount of canned goods, so I'm just like, there's a lot of things she could have done here. I don't think... I get the frozen food and the discount food, but still. Sensei, what is that? Some white vegetable in a fractal structure? The Hausdorff dimension seems to be about 2.7. It's called cauliflower. It looks scary to eat. It tastes like a potato when boiled properly. I've actually not really had cauliflower much. Now that I think about it, I've not really had cauliflower. So here we have potatoes, carrots, onions, and tomatoes. Yes, those I know. On a related note, are you sure you want to buy that much meat? Meat's good for you. Get some good meat in you, and you'll have a good amount of protein to last you for a while. Not the discounted or going old or whatever stuff you were planning to do there. Anyway, and so I taught Rio, who knew nothing about grocery shopping, how to shop for herself. Honestly, I didn't know much about grocery shopping either, so I got a lot of help from the internet. I actually do wonder, for everyone that does go shopping on their own, do you, like, plan out your meals and therefore when you're going shopping, you're getting the ingredients you need? Or are you just like, I'd like to have this at some point, and this at some point? I'm actually kind of curious how people go about shopping for their goods. Because usually what I do is I think about the foods that I want to make for maybe, like, within the 2-week period. And then I'll go and grab the ingredients for it. That's usually about all I do. See, so it's based on protein and veggies with less carbohydrate content than before. So what now, Sensei? I'll cook for you at Shale. You know how to cook? You don't at all? Then how? Your plan is to follow some recipes off the internet and hope something edible comes out of it. Listen, far be it from me to put any stock in premonitions. But I do have a bit of a bad feeling about this. That's fair. It hurts, but it's fair. I would probably be able to cook at least a decent meal for her. Though it's probably going to be more stuff that I learned to cook from my grandmother, more so than things that I've never done before. I have I have probably about 20 or so things I can cook without really any problem. Anything out there, I'm going to be like, okay, how do I do this? Oh, I see. But then, like, I'm not uncomfortable with cooking. I know enough about it that I could probably not have any issues. But it's still a case of, like, I don't venture out too much. But then again, like, I live on my own. Like, cooking is great when you have a group of people to cook with, but, or cook food for, I should say. When you're by yourself, you're more than likely either going to make too much and therefore have, like, leftovers, which I guess isn't the end of the world. I usually when I make stuff, it's usually, like, 2-3 days worth of food. Just because of, like, the portions, and I don't want to reduce it. It gets tedious sometimes with that. And then it's like, I can understand why some people who live alone probably don't necessarily cook too much, which is understandable. But anyway, after a bit more of meandering, we made it back to Shale. Go relax for a bit. I'll try to make this work. Oh, alright. Doesn't sound like we're doing a bad job so far. Is this stew? So anyone could cook stew, relatively speaking. Thank you for the food, Sensei. For a while, we emptied the bowl of stew in silence. Probably one of the better cooked meals she's had in a while. Somehow it what? Doesn't taste bad. I wouldn't call it good, mind you. I see. But I do find the taste. I believe the word is heartwarming. Sensei, are you still awake? What's up? I made that cooking avant-garde, like you said. Does it work? It does. It works well. But it made something that looks like it was made by you. Not bad, but not tasty either. If it fills and it's nutritious, I don't have a problem with that. It's good for you, though, so let's share it. Okay. Related to that, is it okay to eat this discount bento like every other days? Every 3 days. Okay. Balance out your meals, girl. Balance out your meals. Sensei, are you there? Let me guess, this is Rio. You guessed correctly. There's something I wanted to ask you, not for you. Is that okay? If it's a student asking for help, then anytime. Okay then. If you need to have, I need to have some stuff mailed to your office. What? What? I do want to say something real quick. What did you deliver us? That wasn't what I wanted to say, but okay then. Alrighty then. I do have to say, though, it is very, very interesting, the stark contrast between how Rio is and how Shiroko Terror is. You could see how different their backgrounds are. Shiroko and Rio are both very, very recluse. But Shiroko clearly is more comfortable and is able to handle things on her own, and Rio is kind of just doing whatever is the easiest to do, which, don't get me wrong, people with that kind of mindset are going to take the easiest avenue for any kind of problem solving. It's not a bad thing. It's, it makes a lot of sense people would do that. It's logical as they would go, but sometimes there's reasons why you don't necessarily do the easiest or the quickest route. There's always a negative to pay for, but still, seeing the contrast between these two is very interesting. Anyway, what did she send us? Why is it this monstrous box from what it sounds like? Oof, there you go, that's everything. Rio ordered way more packages than I expected. Are you setting up a personal workshop or something? Never mind, I'm joking. If you could just sign here. I mean, it's a place that works. As I promised Rio, I stay at the office until after dark. This does give me an idea. I wonder if it's possible for, like, I was sitting here thinking, would it be would a good place for Rio to, like, hunker down in be at Shale? Because no one would suspect it. Now, granted, Shale has a lot of traffic because of all the other students, all the other schools, the General Student Council, sure. But if she could find a way to lay low, which technically she did if you consider her time at the Millennium Expo, I don't think she's got anything to worry about. And the thing is, nobody would expect it because it's like hiding. It's like the hiding in plain sight kind of idea. It's like, oh wait, she's there. I would have never suspected that. But then again, maybe she's got her own reasons and everything, and she's trying to make up for it. But I feel like if Sensei offered it, she might. I don't know. She probably maybe would still reject it just because of how she's been. But I feel like it'd be very interesting if she ended up hunkering down at Shale for whatever reason. First off, allow me to apologize. What? What for? Well, I was thinking on my way over here, and it just felt like the right thing to do. Oh, Rio, you've grown. I'm proud of you. Don't tease me like that. Incidentally, to make sure I wasn't tracked or identified, I jammed all the traffic cameras and CCTVs along the route here. I can safely assure you, no one saw me. Yeah, but there's a second order effect here that you're not necessarily paying attention to. Also, what is this face? I'm not ready for half of these facial expressions Rio is going to make because she never makes them in the actual story, yet here she is with the biggest smile on her face right now. A girl like her smiling is not something I was ready for. Oh, Rio, you're still the same. I'll still support you though. Look, she's changing. She's trying her best. It's not good, Rome wasn't built in a day. She's at least doing a few things right, not everything, but it's kind of like how Wakamo is. She slowly gets more accustomed to it and starts trying to restrain herself more and so. Granted, the Momotalk scenario she had was a disaster, and I don't blame her if she wanted to explode, but she did a good job containing herself. Mika the same way. She struggled with a whole bunch of things. She wanted to fight back against things, but she held herself back. She didn't, act out or do anything. She knew when she did the wrong thing, and she knew when she's learning. And I think that's what, each of them are going to have different paces, so I'm not going to be surprised. So yeah, I would honestly agree with Sensei here. It's like, she's not really changed, but she's definitely grown in some ways. Anyway, thank you for holding these packages, Sensei. I have a few projects going on in the hideout. I need extra parts for them. Upgrades for the cooking avant-garde, computer maintenance, regent analysis. Most of all, I need a high-quality vapor chamber and IC suppressor. You see, the more devices you have running, the more important cooling efficiency becomes. Plus, there is the ion solution I need for my recent research. Okay. She continued her unintelligible explanation for a while. I'm not quite sure, but I think she enjoyed talking about it. I mean, I'd be curious what it was she was doing, but hey, it is what it is. Anyway, that's why I needed all the parts, and obviously I couldn't order them myself. Not without giving away the hideout. And that's why you used Shale as a forwarding address. Exactly, yes. So, for that, my apologies. Back up for a second. You have a hideout? More than one. At the moment, I'm using the one with the most optimal location. But I do have several backups if the need arises. One whiff of trouble and my Amas will take me straight to the next one. Sounds like you have a rough way to live, yeah. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't. But still, it's rational. You think it sounds inefficient? Personally, I don't think she needs to really do this. She's paranoid, sure. You know, her and Nagisa aren't that far in paranoia. But I don't think there's anyone really going after her. Yeah, like, sure, the rest of Seminar is frustrated with her. But I don't think they necessarily, like, are trying to hunt her down or anything. They might just be trying to get her to, like, you know, be a part of Seminar, much like she is. But I don't think she needs that. Plus, I don't know what she considers as trouble. What about it specifically would cause her to retreat? Well, maybe. Amy and I talked it over a while ago. I'm assuming this is back at the one event where they were like quite a bit ways away and there was the volcano and everything. She says I'm the type of person who can give up efficiency for rationality. With her, she told me it's the other way around. I thought you couldn't have one without the other, honestly. I thought the most efficient option would naturally be the rational one. Not all cases. But apparently, that's not the case. People can't always be rational, and most of the events in our lives are between people and other people. Well, for things to be rational, it has to be logical. For things to be logical, it has to be very, like, black or white. You know, not everything in the world is binary. Yeah, sure, and for my programming world, things are generally, coding tends to be more absolute. You know, things are taken literally, there is no other way around. It's always going to be, you know, the desire for algorithms is always going to be speed and also the making sure you get it the way you want it to. You'll always find ways to work, but sometimes you have to settle for, you know, least, you know, solutions that are not perfectly optional because the complexity of the actual system is a thing. But that kind of goes into where it needs to be, where it's like, life is more complex. It's nuanced. It's sometimes ironically irrational. You know? You can't have, what is the best way to put it? You can't have things going the way you want them to all the time, and things aren't always going to work out perfectly the way you expect them to. Interacting with other people makes that all the more likely to happen too, because you've got things that they got to deal with on top of things that you deal with. And then there's all the things about emotions, people's mental states, you know, what they're going through in their lives that sometimes can cause them to do things they don't want to do, or things that they wouldn't think of doing but end up doing anyway. The human mind is a very interesting thing. That's kind of the problem, though. When science interacts with humanity, irrationality happens a lot of times too. It just is the way that it is. The way I used to see that, I thought people were unreliable and untrustworthy. That's why I thought everything had to be controlled. I don't think that's the case anymore. Because people can't be rolled back. They can't. Okay, yeah. I think I see where she's going with that. Yes. I thought a lot about that lately. If something happens, I think what she means is when something happens to a person, it forever changes them. They can't, you know, you can't go back and you know, undo the damage or whatever impact that action had on them. That's something that she, I think, is understanding. Though I think there is also the other side of, you know, I think Alice is a good thing for Rio. Because Alice was willing to forgive her. And I think that was huge for shattering that worldview of hers. A little bit. People aren't like machines. If a machine gets a broken part, you can just replace it. If an AI's decision-making algorithm goes wrong, you can just rewrite it. You can make them good as new, just like they were before. Every part of them is replaceable. People aren't. Things that go wrong for them can't be fixed that way. Some parts of a person can heal on their own, but there are limits to that. And sometimes even with the healing that can be done on it, it still leaves a scar. About 330 billion cells are born and die in every human body. The cellular turnover rate is anywhere from a month to a year. But a brain's nerve cells, for example, don't get replaced at any point in your lifespan. Do you know the story of the ship of Theseus? Yes, I do. Sounds familiar. It's a story that illustrates that what it means or doesn't mean to replace things piece by piece. For those that don't know the ship of Theseus, imagine an actual ship that is made out of wood. If, for any reason, a piece of wood on that ship rots, you would replace it with a new piece of wood. At one point, every plank of wood on that ship rots, and therefore is replaced. Is the new ship that is constructed of all of these new pieces of wood still the original ship of Theseus? That's basically the idea there. Or the thought experiment, if you want to ask yourself that. And whether it's the same thing after it's all been replaced. I think you can apply that concept to machines. For the most part. It depends on how you're going about it. You know, we live in the world of AI, and AI's primary, one of AI's most important things for operation is memory. And I mean, like, remembering certain outcomes or remembering certain interactions. That's why if you look at language learning models, for example, you know, you're having to build an interaction, is having to understand how to communicate, how to create sentences, how to modify sentences with other words to replace them, how to do all of that. And much like you guys may have seen, you know, for the videos that you guys might have seen of other AI savvy people where, you know, let's say that they're trying to train an AI to play a game and you see them fail over and over and over again, and generation after generation after generation slowly learns, you know. That aspect of that learning process is something that is reflective of human, basically just humanity itself. One of the core things I find interesting about AI is how, in a way, yes, it is a computer science topic, but it's also a study on how humans behave and think. So you've got both aspects of that you have to consider. So yes, it can apply to machines, but once you start getting into the realm of AI, especially those that rely on memory, that rely on, you know, generation and after generation after generation of attempts, failures, successes, partial failures, all of these things, that rule falls apart. So I think that would depend. Even if you replace every part, then as long as it keeps functioning, it's the same machine as it ever was. But I don't think humans work the same way. They do not. Maybe someday in the far future, they'll have ways of analyzing every neuron in your cell, or in your brain, and creating an exact carbon and protein-based copy of anything you need replaced. But I don't want to do that thought experiment right now. It requires a lot of assumptions, and it doesn't have much bearing on reality. You know what I mean by thought experiment, right? when you sort of simplify a scenario, then make predictions based off of that. There are really two types of thought experiments. One is where you can predict near-accurate results based on precise simulations. The other is built off imagination and presumptions. The question of the human ship of Theseus is definitely one of the latter. So I don't see much use in considering that right now. In other words, Sensei, I wanted to say thank you. I wanted to say that you, the way you are now. Are irreplaceable for me. Aww. What do you mean? Sensei, please. I'm sure she doesn't exactly get what she just said, but at the same time, I'm pretty sure she does mean it. I'm in that mindset that if she truly understood what she was trying to say there, I think she does truly mean those words regardless. But one day, I hope you'll see me that way too. Just a thought I had in the moment. This smile though, I can't. Now then, since I've picked up all my packages, I should get back. How do you plan on going back? You gonna maybe a bunch of robots, maybe? Helping? Just like I did on the way here, jamming all the traffic cams and CCTVs. No one sees me leaving Shale and... No, I veto that. I'll take you back. Yeah, I'll do that. Huh? But... President Rio, please listen to Sensei. Alright. I called a taxi, a large cargo taxi, and dropped Rio off near her hideout. She waited until the taxi was gone, then called her Amos to move the packages. I'll be on my way then. Thank you for everything today, Sensei. No problem. Have a safe rest of your trip home. Sensei, I've tried making improvements to the cooking avant-garde. Since I've got those parts, the cooking's starting to get a little more flavorful. Oh, that's good. It is, yes. Thank you, Sensei. You're welcome. Due to various circumstances, I'm not as busy nowadays, so I was thinking about going back to something I used to do. Alright, something you used to do? Making things like sculptures, really, like industrial designs. But I don't have much space here in the hideout. There's also a ventilation issue. Would you like to come to Shale then? Huh? Can I? I'm okay with it. Thank you. Then, just like last time, I'll ask you to pick up some things for me. Got an order here for a 3D printer and powder-based materials, right? You could just sign here. 3D printer, ooh, nice. I've actually been wanting to get one of those. There's some things I could definitely make with it, which I think would be cool. Just more delivery? No, this is Rio coming. Never mind. All right, at night. Hello, Sensei. Feels like I've gotten somewhat used to this. It feels fresh. Looks like you ordered a 3D printer this time. That's right. I also like a spacious place with good ventilation. Since 3D printers tend to generate lots of waste products during the process. Yeah, they do. Which is why I couldn't do the work for my hideout. I'm sure I could find a place if I looked for one. Say, Shale's pretty empty, isn't it? Like, how much of the building does he need? As I can't imagine the rest of the building sees much use, unless GSC is here too. Because it's like, when you look at like the lesson stuff, you have all that floor plan and everything. I would think there's a place that she could work from. How about here? Here looks good. There's a nice big window right there. I'll be borrowing this space then. and before it becomes like another place for her. All right, if I start this now, then, well, let's step outside. You're gonna need some fresh air. All right. Are you making things for a particular project? Not as such. I just happen to experiment with new industrial designs sometimes. It helps get the kinks out early, and it plays a part in aesthetics too. It's work, but it's not enjoyable work. Unenjoyable work. So it's a hobby then. A hobby? Is it? I never thought of it that way. But hobbies are inherently irrational. Alright, no, I'm gonna wait this one out. I wanna see what she says on it. They're purely for recreation. There's no study or work or training involved, no profit or utility in them. I would say there's profit in them, just maybe not your definition of profit. Hobbies, in a way, to me, are a good way to unwind or relax, to de-stress, and that's, I feel, a reward in one way, shape, or form for people. Meaning the input to output ratio invariably converges at 0. Could I even consider spending my time that way? Nothing says you can't. So getting a hobby isn't necessarily a bad thing. You'd actually recommend it. I feel like I'd have a very different response to this, but I'm not clearly sensei here. As much as some of you think I can be sometimes. Well, there is one problem with that. The designs I've done, you might already know this. Other people don't tend to appreciate them. I strive for rationality and functional beauty, and most people don't seem to understand that. So you're trying to do form and function? Not just function over form? Maybe I'm just doing it wrong. No maybe about it. I must be doing it wrong. Statistically, the probability of everyone else being wrong about my work is infinitesimal. The fault is definitely mine. Whoa. I don't think so at all. If a creator puts their heart into it, it's art, no matter what people say. Yeah, I'd say that. That's what I would say. Art. Her mind has just exploded. I'm an artist? I never thought of it that way. Art is entirely subjective, of course. There's no room for objectivity there. There are no specific parameters that define art's quality, and in that sense, no one can truly say it's wrong. I see. It is art. I've been doing art, which means I can do art. Rio, please. I wasn't wrong at all. Thank you, Sensei. I don't know how to react to this face sometimes. It's just like, I worry about this woman, but at the same time, look at how happy she is. Huh? Well, sure. You always see what I've been missing. I suppose that's why you're Sensei. Sensei means ones who's lived ahead. After all, one who can lead others and who can explain what others don't understand yet. Of course, that's why. Rio, are you okay? I don't know. I feel like this is my first time being this happy. I've always felt like I'm in some constant struggle just to keep pushing forward. But if I'm by your side, I could just stay like this. Remember what I said about when she realizes what she's saying, I think she'd still mean it? I heard the sound of the 3D printer being 3D printing being completed. Is it done? I want to see how it turned out. And I wonder what it was. Sensei. Sorry, don't turn around. Please just stay there and listen. Thank you for what you said. It really made me happy hearing that. Aw. As I watched Rio walk away, I thought more about what art is. Sensei, I thought about it, And I think I should repay you for several things. You don't have to, it's fine. I knew you would say something like that. But in terms of common courtesy, and based on the probability and statistics of it all, this is something I think I need to do. You wonder what your definition of probability and statistics is. Anyway, she's not even gonna answer that. I want to invite you to my hideout, if you're okay with it, that is. Oh, okay. Alright. A secret place. Watch this being like the silliest place ever. As I walked, I thought about my call with Rio. As I mentioned before, I have multiple hideouts. Consider yourself invited to one of them. It could be our shared secret place, in a sense. There are no security concerns, I can guarantee that. However, if someone does find the place, then I'll know. No one else but you could have told anyone. If that happens, I'll need proper compensation. Not that I'm expecting it to happen, of course. I trust you. A little more trust than that would be nice. Duly noted. I'll look forward to seeing you. I hope it's like actually a whole place and not just like some random like dark alley where she's like got a little like tent or something set up. I called Rio's burner phone. Sensei, why are you calling me now? Huh? It's what time? I had the curtains closed all day and must have lost track. Oh my, what should I do? What's wrong, Rio? Did something happen? Nothing. Nothing's happening, but... Thinking Rio was in trouble, I hurried to her. I don't think she was in trouble. I think she was just flustered. Where are we going? Rio! Sensei, why are you so early? No, you're on time actually, but... Looking at the room, I can see why you were so early. Yeah, it is kind of messy. Let's see, that's a convenience store bento box. True, yes. There's a juice bottle, an empty water bottle. And no, it's not trash, it's equipment and reagents for an experiment, and those over there are tools. Sorry, Sensei, I'm really sorry. I thought I could clean it all up on my own. Who cleaned for you before? Toki. Yeah, I was gonna say Toki. Toki did back then. You know what, that makes sense. There's a lot to learn about living on your own. Am I supposed to learn it all at once? No. I went probably through something like this. Well, not messy, but I spent a good amount of my time, like, in college living alone, and I had to figure out a lot of things. Like, how to handle... Basically, I was so used to doing a whole, not having to worry about certain things that I was like, oh, well, wait, I need to do this now. How do I do this? And that kind of helped to figure that out, but that took... It was not instant, so I'll put it that way. I don't know how much time has passed since, chapter, well, pretty much chapter F and all, since we've been here. So I'm kind of curious how much time it's been for her to really figure this stuff out. Sensei, you're not always great at cleaning either, you know. Yeah, you're not the first one that's told us that. But... Wait, where are you going all of a sudden? We're gonna need to get some 50-liter trash bags. Alright. Is she living in like a pigsty? Like the things where it's like there's like is it that bad? The place actually does look a whole lot cleaner now. What? We're not even halfway done? Do I have the wrong definition of clean? Is there anything I can help with? You're telling me it's fine. I should go rest for a bit, but fine if you insist. Ah. Alrighty. Want to hear her voice more.
こういうことをさせるためにあなたを呼んだわけじゃないのだけれど、自分でやるわ。先生は座っていてちょうだい。あなたはもう少し先生としての自覚を持ちなさい。こんなことで時間を浪費するなんて非合理的よ。他にもっと重要な仕事があるでしょ。
Not really. I mean, taking care of our students is definitely something up there. I can't escape the allegation with that one. Oh no. Taking care of my students is also important.
何を？私のお世話？
Yup.
理解に苦しむわ。でもあなたはそういう人だったわね。
Yep. You know us well enough by now, I would imagine.
分かったわ。
That's
最
swell,
後
though.
まで受け止めましょう。あなたがするお世話とやらを。
That's adorable. I get it now. So this is what cleaning really means. What? It's still not really clean? Is that so? Because there's a pile of trash bags over there. We can just pick a spot and dump those, right? No, now that I think about it, Toki always threw them out properly. And you've done this much already. Which means anyone can do it if they put their mind to it. I'm not sure how to take that. Did I say something wrong again? No, I didn't. Huh? It's fine. What's even happening anymore? Why are you suddenly patting my head? Don't worry about it. Well, it doesn't feel bad, so we can keep doing it. We can keep doing it. We should both get something to eat. Well, it's about time, but I'm not that hungry. Oh, but you must be, after all that work that you did for me. Once again, I apologize, Sensei. But if I go outside, what if I get spotted? I'm sure we'll be fine. Okay. Thank you for everything today. So... Oh! What, did she trip? Yeah, I was gonna say over the pile of trash bags. Oh, yeah, you okay? Yes, I'm fine. Thank you for asking. Sure, yeah. Can you get up? I can get up, no problem. No problem, but... Sensei. For a moment, just a moment. Can we stay like this? But... we can, but why? Thank you, Sensei. I don't really know what stay like this is supposed to... I'm having trouble visualizing this, but I can have an idea, or at least my imagination could probably imagine this. Thank you, truly. This is one of those I kind of wish there was a CG for that to at least see what they're talking about. Together with Ryo, who was looking a little more hesitant than usual. I had my dinner. then returned to Shale. Did you get back okay, Sensei? I don't know if I can say this, and if you could, it'd be nice of you to delete the message after. I just don't know, Sensei. This is my first time feeling something like this. I don't know if I can define it. I don't know if you've ever felt it or not. Maybe. I suppose it doesn't really matter. If you know or not. But now for some reason, I really want to see you again. That's it. Good night. Good night, Rio. It is, yes. Thank you as always. And that is it. Oof. That was a lengthy one. But for a character like her, it kind of makes sense. And plus, I did kind of speak a lot more than, or yap probably a bit more than I probably should have. There is definitely a very interesting, like, difference between Shiroko and Shiroko Terror, mind you, and Rio. And it's cool to see the differences there. I don't feel like she makes the worst decisions, because I've been led to believe that, like, she literally cannot, like, support herself, but she seems like she's doing somewhat okay. Nowhere near the level of I'm doing fine as Shiroko Terror was, but definitely up there enough that it's not really a concern. Though, I guess some people could probably say that. There's a couple of things, I guess, maybe. She's not really taking care of the place that she lives in, and she could probably get herself hurt, which I guess that is something that could be a problem. Her nutrition also wasn't really the best, but, I mean, it's not like she's starving herself or anything, so that's okay. So, maybe she'll figure things out, but that's kind of like how it is like, you know, she used to have Toki around all the time, and Toki did help with a lot of things. So her getting used to living alone, that's understandable, and I don't think it's the end of the world that she's having to get used to that. So, but yeah, it was kind of sweet seeing her kind of slowly figure out more about, I feel like she learned more about herself in this Momotalk than she probably would anticipate. Because it was basically like, since like, it was kind of one of those things that's like, she's always relied on herself, never really considered other people's opinions more than likely. And that's kind of a major flaw that came out of her during that whole thing in chapter 2. But I feel like with her trusting more on Sensei, she started to realize more things about herself that I think is helping her out a lot. So hopefully that is something that she continues to pick up on. And we did see that a little bit too on the Code Box event, because she did lean on Neru and Seiya, which you know, she wouldn't have necessarily done that in the past. Granted, she's still learning things, and, you know, she did get on Neru's nerves a bit. Regardless, that was a pretty good Momotalk. I was pretty happy with that. I didn't know how to handle Smiling Rio, though. That is different. But regardless, hope you guys did enjoy that, and I will see you guys all in the next video or live stream that I do. Until then, have a good rest of your day, and see you guys all again real soon. Later.